I'm here today to go over people, if you may be looking at the Yardistry 12x16 gazebo. The one I'm going to be showing you today is YM11915, the one I purchased from Costco. And I just want to sit down today and just got a few minutes and go over some features or some things about the gazebo and maybe you want to think about, consider before you're purchasing the gazebo. This is our second year of owning it. I meant to do this video last year. Things just got crazy. I never got around to it. I meant to just to hopefully help some people out in making the decision, or if you bought one, how to go about and build it and assemble it. This is more kind of an over review. I'm not going to get too much into installation, but we'll definitely give you some tips. But again, this is the YM12944 from Yardistry, bought from Costco. So we got it last spring. First quick note is delivery, at least through Costco, is only to the end of your driveway. So again, just some things to consider. They will not bring it. I guess you could pay them. But anyway, the gentleman that dropped it off, it comes in 3 big, very heavy boxes. So that's something to consider. Again, it's the end of the driveway. It's not to the house. It's not to the backyard. It's not to where you're going to go ahead and build it. So by time in last spring, you know, it sat outside in my backyard. Eventually my son and I moved it. We put it underneath some tarps, because here's the next thing that you have to consider is you need a stretch of weather in which you're not going to have any rain. So in the springtime, I'm here in the Northeast, you know, April showers, we get a lot of rain. So I finally found a stretch just after about 3 weeks in which we were not going to have any rain. So I would highly suggest to wait until you know you're going to have at least 3 or 4 days of little to no chance of rain, because it's really then going to make things difficult. So a few things to consider, and again, I'll show you some highlights of the gazebo in a few minutes. Number one is you're going to need a big space. You're going to need a lot of area. I have a very large concrete patio and I utilized almost the entire thing. You're going to need a lot of space. So somebody had asked, I know some people, like, if you just have the space, let's say 12x16 of where the gazebo is going to go, could you assemble it there? To me, it would be extremely difficult. You're going to need a bigger area to assemble it. A few other things. You just really want to take your time. I consider myself somewhat handy. Put a lot of stuff together. I did build this entire gazebo, 90% of it by myself. However, I am one of those people, when you buy something and it says, hey, you need 2 or 3 people to build this, I always wind up doing it by myself. I never have an issue. I can tell you, you are going to need extra people. And you're really going to need 3 to 4 minimum, 4 to 5 even better. And it's for the final assembly of when you're putting all the pieces together. There were a few places I probably should have had somebody help me, especially moving the top sections. And when you have to flip them over and work on the other side, that was difficult. I used a rope, I built a little system and so on. But definitely something you want to consider. When the day comes that you have all the pieces and you're going to put it together, you really are going to need, I would say, minimum 3, really 4 to 5 people to help out. Another thing to consider is you're going to need several A-frame ladders. 2 really at a minimum. 3 is really going to help, because you're going to have people climbing up on different parts of ladders. They're going to be configuring stuff as they're holding stuff, and it gets to be a little bit cumbersome. To put it all kind of together, when you get it, all the pieces, the assembly is really only about 2 hours. It's not like you're going to have people over the house all day long to put it together. You can have them stick around. But for me, I just had some family and friends come over. It was about 4 or 5 of us, and in less than 2 hours, I had the main stuff done, where I got to send them home, and I could do and finish up everything else on my own. So really multiple strong A-frame ladders. Definitely give yourself 3 to 4 days. Now again, this you're doing it yourself. If you have somebody helping you, you could probably get it done in 2 days. I don't think you could get it done in 1, unless you started at 6 in the morning and went to like midnight and you had lights and stuff like that. You just really want to take your time. So when you get this instruction booklet, my suggestion, and I'm not somebody who normally does it, but I did and I'm glad I did, is read through the entire instruction booklet. Take your time, watch videos, go through the diagrams, and really do take your time with this. If you're going to try to run through this project and get it done quick, you're not going to be happy with the results. You're going to get frustrated. Things are going to break. Things are not going to go together well. And even with taking your time, there are a few things that aren't perfect, which I will talk about. So again, just consider delivery, consider people that are going to need to help you, especially with the assembly part when you're putting all the main roof sections together is what I should say. You really want to have a large area. You want to have an area where you can lay things out. Another suggestion, which I really, and this is why you need the area, is when you have the 3 boxes that come, at least when we got it delivered last year, was in 3 boxes, you really want to lay everything out. You don't want to be working from box to box. So I literally almost took one day or more than a half a day of laying out all the pieces, putting them all together, putting them by section, putting them by letter, putting them by number, and it made the assembly so much easier later on. It also helps you, number one, check just in case you do have a bad piece, you've got some splintering, you've got a broken board. Listen, it's wood, it's Mother Nature. I've heard these kits are kind of hit and miss, mostly hit, but I know some people, and again, I don't think mine was perfect. It's a wood product. They sit, wood swells. Where I live is a very humid area. So it definitely some things to consider. You may not get a perfect kit, but again, you want to check everything over. So really take your time laying everything out. I had all the nuts, the bolts, the hardware and everything, and really lay it out so that way when you put it together, it really makes assembly that much easier. So I'm going to take you around and just show you some different things with the gazebo. We've added, or I should say I've added, we've added a lot of stuff to it to make it more user-friendly. I would say this: if you're somebody who doesn't sit outside, you don't like being outside, is this going to make you want to be outside? The answer is no. Okay, this is really for people who, my wife and I and my family, we had an awning, one of those sunsetter awnings, which in fact I still have, but one that's not attached to the house. But it was a pain to open and close. It's not a permanent structure. We get to utilize, outdoors pretty much from, I would say, March until about October, maybe even November up here in the Northeast. So I'm up on Long Island in New York. So we're outside a pretty good deal, and it is something we use. Now, on the hottest of days, am I going to be out here? No, because when it's hot and humid, it's still hot and humid. However, we do like to be outside. It's a nice place to have dinner, to relax. I'll get into, watch the ball game, have a cigar, do some stuff like that. But, excuse me, those are just some, excuse me again, things to consider. So I'm going to show you around. Let me get a sip of my coffee. There we go. Hopefully that'll help things. But I'm going to show you some highlights, some things that maybe you might want to do, some ideas or suggestions. I've done a lot of add-ons, things of that nature to the gazebo that you may or may not want to do, but maybe it makes it more livable for you. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now. So again, I know there's a 12 by 12 version. Actually, I have a relative that has a 12 by 12. They love it. The 12 by 16, they have the 12 by 20. This is, again, for the 12 by 16. So this worked out pretty well for me. So I'm going to go around and just show you some highlights again, and maybe some things to consider that you might want to do to your gazebo. Alrighty guys, so welcome back. Basically, again, I just want to give you an overview of the gazebo. Again, this is the 12 by 16 Yardistry, and just show you some things to look for. Maybe some additions, things you'd want to put on. Let me first start with the base. So as I come in here to the gazebo, for me, this worked out pretty well. I'm on a concrete slab, and for me, this worked out really well because where I have these bricks that separate it are actually exactly 16 feet apart. So for me, this was kind of a no-brainer. We did think about going, number one, I wouldn't want to do the 12 by 12 just because I need the space back here. We thought about going with the 12 by 20, but in the end, this is for us just kind of like the perfect size. So as we talk about the base, let me show you here. And something you're going to want to do, and I know some people don't, and I think they're crazy, but you need to anchor this to the ground. These are just simply some anchor bolts. Okay, do you need to do all of them? No, I did not do all of them. I did most of them, okay, but I did have a few areas in which it was a little bit difficult to get into. But you will see, for example, I have all of these here. The anchor bolts are something you do need to purchase additionally They do not come with the gazebo. Now, they do come with these brackets. As you can see right here, there's the bracket itself. They come with the bracket. The anchor bolts, they weren't very expensive, $15, $16, and I got a bunch of them. But those are the anchor bolts. So one thing I'm gonna definitely recommend, in fact, you can kind of see back here, there's one area, it just fell in between the brick and I could not put an anchor in there. But if you live in an area, especially like I do, and you get some strong winds, or yes, we do get hurricanes up here, this thing is going to be gone. So number one, the foundation of it. So pretty important. So let me kind of jump around here. First of all, I did go ahead and add, these are just some drapes. Just showing you up here on the edge. This runs across, just helps a little bit of privacy. Again, this does not come with the gazebo, but I did find these at Costco. I have one on either end of the gazebo, and they ran about $60. Pretty simple installation. I actually just keep the hook right here that opens and retracts the blinds, okay? But just, again, there's one of the options, okay, that you can get into. Let me come inside here really quick, a few things. Number one, which I love and make this really livable, and these are the fans. These are simple Harbor Breeze fans. They're simple plug-in fans, okay, which I'll talk about electric in a quick second. So I have two of them. They work on remote control, which is great. You can control low, medium, high, and so on, but something that really does help us enjoy more time out here are the fans. Now, you will notice, okay, in order to put these in, I really wanted to make sure this was strong. I did add additional pieces of wood, okay? So I did pick up some 2x4s. I did stain them, which I'll get into staining as well. And you can see here, I anchored them on either side, and this is just to give strength to the fans. I didn't even want to take a chance on them, cracking or splitting the wood, but that is what the fans look like, and I just run the electric through. Now, as you can see here, I have them covered right now. I did go ahead and add 2 TVs. You can add none, you can add 1, you can add 2. These are 32-inch TVs. I leave them up all year round, okay? These covers are great. They're about 20 bucks. For the covers. I'm just going to turn the fan speed down here a little bit just because I know it's loud picking up on volume. Basically, I found one of the TVs. They're smart TVs. One of them was like 40 bucks on Facebook, and one of them was brand new at Best Buy. It was like $69, so it's kind of a no-brainer. I keep the remotes in here, so that way everything is in here if I need it. The TVs are great, okay? They work well, and it really does make things enjoyable. Now, with that being said, what you'll notice behind is I also then added another piece of wood, which is this one right here, okay? Let me show you what they look like. I did them in all 4 corners, and I added these 2x4s for a few reasons. Number one, which I'll also show you, these are Bluetooth speakers, okay? So I can listen to some music, do some different stuff. I didn't want to mount them to the gazebo itself, okay? So I bought this wood, of course, screwed it in, and then that way the screws are there, of course, covered up, but that's where I had the speakers, and you'll see another speaker, of course, over here, the same thing, and then the TV again mounted on the bracket, and the TV mounted on the bracket. Now, when it comes to electricity, okay, I just did the really simple way. If you follow this down, okay, I've got a piece here, it comes down. I bought one of these hiders. I run the main cable through here, an extension cord, it goes around, and it plugs into the back of my house. And I have it on a master switch. I actually have it on Alexa, so I actually have her hooked up. I can just tell her to turn on or turn off, but there's actually a GE, in fact, it's right there. There's a GE part switch that comes on there, and the gazebo automatically turns on or off, which is kind of nice. And I also have it set up that if I forget to turn the electricity off, it turns off at 1 o'clock in the morning. So basically, I have all the wires, as you'll see through here. These are just some HDMI adapters. I've got obviously a big extension cord up there, and some surge protectors and things of that nature. But I just ran the cords around, tried to make it look as neat as possible. Now, another thing you're going to see, because you're probably going, what are those? Okay, something you're going to have an issue with, well, depending on where you live, I should say. But here I have an issue with birds. I highly, highly recommend, okay, to pick these up. They're super cheap. I got them on Amazon. And these are those anti-bird cages, and you really want to put them around the ends, okay? Birds love to come under these things and build nests. Those things are really inexpensive, I had an issue. They were building their nests on the fans, but more importantly, they love to build their nests in the corners of the gazebo. Okay, so I would really highly recommend to get those as well. Okay, because birds will be a big pain in the butt. All right, so let me just get through and again show you the inside. This is all untouched. Now, one thing I did is after I put up the gazebo is I did stain. I try to pick up somewhat of a matching stain. I stain all of the major beams. I did not do the inside. Okay, this is all original. Okay, they say it does not need to be stained. However, again, just where I live up here in the Northeast, you'll kind of see the difference in color between this, of course, and this. But I did the inside and I did all the inside and the outside of the beams. So you will see these are all stained, okay? Again, just trying to help them, protect them from the elements. Here I just added some outdoor solar lights. There's one, okay, and there is the other. Here is the other, of course, awning that is retractable, that comes down, okay. This I just added this year because where the sun comes in for me sometimes it's pretty strong. In fact, let me back up, but these are the drapes that I added. So they completely enclose the back side. Again, I got these on Amazon. The rod I just attached, okay. I did change and use stainless steel screws, okay. Bought some tie-offs, and that way it can at least block the sun on a really, really strong day, which is really, really helpful. All right, so just walk back a little bit. This is what you're seeing here I was talking about before. This is my old awning. This is my old sunsetter awning, okay, which we used to use, but the new one is so much better. I really only use the sunsetter now if we have big parties or we have people over. Of course, I don't have any inside lights. I do have these lights on the outside, so I use those. These I just built for my wife for Mother's Day. They plug in. They also work on my smart switch, so I just say gazebo lights on, and thankfully they come on. So you can fit a pretty good sized table in here. I apologize for the golf clubs. Going to go golfing tomorrow, but we obviously have a table here that seats 8. Okay, and very comfortably. You have plenty of room. So if you're thinking about like how many people can you fit, you know, under the gazebo, you can definitely fit a bunch. You know, would you be able to fit this and let's say, for example, a big couch? Probably not. Okay, so now in terms of the construction, everything went together pretty well. Okay, the biggest issues that I had really, or the hardest part, are these beams. In fact, they'll tell you there's not supposed to be a seam, which you can kind of see in here, and in certain places they're not. And you know, I consider myself pretty decent with things. I matched up things as well as I could, and it was impossible to get rid of those seams. Does it affect the construction or the integrity of the gazebo? My personal feeling is absolutely not. This thing is rugged as heck. Yes, I do think it would stand up to a very big storm. You know, we've already had some very strong wind and things of nature here, and we've had no issues at all. Okay, but putting these two pieces together, okay, and you can see how they're joined here. Yeah, they're kind of a pain, you know, but that's just, you know, that's their stuff. That's how they want you to put it together. So for example, this is supposed to sit completely flush. Even with 5 people here and pushing up, and we've double checked, triple checked, and quadruple checked measurements. In fact, you can even see some gaps in here. Short of me cutting the wood, which I did not want to do, okay, and it's all in there. It's all bolted together. It is super strong. But does it go together absolutely perfectly? The answer is no. At least mine did not. Okay. Just to show you the back of the TVs, I will show you again. There's the bird piece. You really want to put those because otherwise the nests will be coming everywhere. And yes, they are a pain in the butt. Okay. But again, these pieces across, you can just add. I just added some U-hooks here. This is usually where I hang plants, or you can see here some wind chimes and things of that nature. This is just a long HDMI cable, so I have a repeater. I do have fire sticks going to both, but if I ever want to watch the same thing on both. And again, there's my Amazon Alexa, and Alexa is there to help me out. She's always on, so she's there for me to get some more music. If you want to add, this is another speaker that's hooked up to the TVs. This one's hooked up via optical cable. I was happy. I got this literally for like 20 bucks on Facebook, and it sounds great, which works out really, really well. If you want to add some things like shelves, you know, these are just some small acrylic shelves. Normally I have more stuff out here, But you know, right now I don't have too much. Little clock, my little flowers, you can hang some stuff and so on. So again, guys, these are just some things, you know, you can do, what works for you, what doesn't work for you. Even in there, you can see I did go ahead and drill out. They give you one hook, which is that. Okay, definitely, by the way, drill a pilot hole. Please do not drill directly into the cedar. But I just hung those so that way I could hang my plants from that particular section there as well. And like I said, just take your time. Everything does eventually go together. You know, these are also some important seams. When you put these together, you're going to see right here, for example, where the bolt pulls them together. And there's the bolt. Okay. So when you have all this together and everything's working, it just kind of falls on the frame, you know, this is the first piece you're going to build. You're going to get these 4 posts up. You're going to build the long 16-foot sections. You're going to build the 12-foot section, okay, and so on. And then what you're going to do is each one of these roof sections is going to be done separately. So for example, let me try it. I don't want to move the camera. That you can see the triangle there, okay? So this is one roof section. So you're going to build obviously 1, you're going to build 2, then you're going to have the 2 big ones, okay? You're obviously going to have one on this side. I guess it would look kind of like a trapezoid, and of course you have one on the opposite side. So those, you could, again, build them all by yourself. That is what I wound up doing. The trick is when you put this all together. Okay, so they're going to, you know, and again, it does explain everything. Again, please read the instructions very closely. But when you bring all of these together, okay, for example, in this point, you're going to have 2 sections and the triangle all coming in here. Okay, you're going to have people pushing up on this section so that it all falls over the outer lip. Okay, which is, of course, what you're going to need. All right, and it does. It goes together pretty well once you have the sections, but that was definitely probably the trickiest part. And again, you know it's together, it's tight, because here's the beam, and you can see how tight we have this wood here. Okay, if there were gaps there, but since this is as tight as possible, and this is all in, okay, obviously I can't move this piece or, you know, move these roof sections any more than they are already moved. So again, kind of the same thing out here. You know, you have a little bit of the gap that is in here. Okay, so just kind of something to consider. The only thing that is interesting about the 12 by 16, not that I've banged my head on it too much, but I have a few times. The 12 by 12 has kind of an arched, so you don't bang your head. That's the only thing you're going to get into is when you have the 12 by 12, the 12 by 16 and the 12 by 20. You do have to consider you're going to have these beams, and yes, I have banged my head a few times on them. Okay, again, where the 12 by 12 is, it's a nice arch, and you're not going to bump your head on it because the way that it's designed. Here, obviously, you need to sustain some more weight. So, again, I hope this kind of helps you out, gives you a little bit of an overview of the piece and what it looks like. Again, the roof is, you know, super strong. It just, again, take your time. I know sliding these pieces on up here in the corner was definitely a pain in getting the whole system. They do make, as you may know, they make a gutter system for this. I'm not going to do it here. It wouldn't make sense for me in the Northeast because we get so much snow and rain that if the gutter system comes in and the water freezes and cracks, it's just going to break it anyway. So I didn't find that as a necessary investment, and it just wouldn't make sense here again in the Northeast. But again, it's little things I do love. Oh, and in fact, you can even see here, I'm finding a little piece of stick. This is from one of the nests that I did pull out of here. Thankfully, I did find. And when I tell you, and I kid you not, especially if you're in the Northeast, okay, these guys, it's amazing how they can build a nest. There we go. In like literally one day. Okay, so they will get up there. I already pulled the nest out of this corner. They put them on the fans. They try to build them everywhere. So that's the only thing is in the springtime, you really have to be diligent. That's why I have Mr. Owl here. By the way, he doesn't do a very good job keeping the birds away. And I have some other things, but you know, I know they don't like the reflective lights. So that does help as well, but you really don't want to leave this if you have birds where you live because they will build nests everywhere. But anyway, I hope that helps. Again, just kind of a quick overview of the Yardistry. And again, just to make sure, this is the one here that is being reviewed. And again, I highly, highly recommend read through the instruction manual completely. Okay, and Yardistry, by the way, also does have some videos. I highly recommend that you watch the videos. Guys, listen, it's really worth it. I mean, I think for the price, and you can wait. They do put these on sale. When we got it, it was actually $600 off, which is why we pulled the trigger. And super, super happy with what we did. I have zero regrets. Again, we do absolutely love it. But again, just, you know, take your time. Let me just kind of show you a different angle. Putting it together, make sure you have a bunch of really close friends, okay? Be patient, especially whoever, you know, you build it with. So you'll have a good time and hopefully you'll enjoy it. So I hope this helped you or give you some information on the Yardistry Gazebo by at least through Costco. Again, this is the 12 by 16. Any comments you guys can post that'll hopefully help other people. Maybe you've already bought one and you have some tips. Okay. But again, this is at least what I have found. And so far I am overall extremely happy with it. I love it. I don't know the life. I literally, the way that it's put together, I'm hoping to get at least 10 years out of it. You know, I don't know why it would not last 10 years, you know, like I said, short of a hurricane taking it down or short of something crazy. It is built very well. And I expect it to last a very long time. One quick note, if I had to go back and do it all over again, which I can't, maybe, and I know there's some different stuff on there, water. I do have drainage, but if you're going to anchor these on a flat surface, excuse me, where there's no drainage, I would think about maybe coating the bottom of these in some type of water, you know, treatment, or maybe even putting you know, a permeable layer or something around the bottom of it to keep the water out. Believe it or not, these are hollow. They're not solid. They're like 4 pieces of wood put together. So by the way, you could, which again, I just don't need it, but you definitely could run outlets. I know people that have actually put outlets in here. There is, again, openings in here. This is hollow, so you could literally run outlets if you wanted to. You could definitely go that route. I just didn't find the need to do so. And, you know, and go from there because I didn't want to have to deal with an electrician and permits and everything else. But if you're handy enough, you could definitely go ahead and do that. So, guys, again, thanks again for watching. I hope this gives you some more great information on the gazebo. And please enjoy your outdoor living.